David Madeira on 94.3 FM, The Talker.
I do so love those Orwellian terms like Ministry of Peace or shared responsibility provision. Here to talk to us about that, Congressman Lou Barletta, a little hot under the collar about another one of the unintended consequences. Boy, if I had a nickel for every time I heard that, of Obamacare. Congressman, welcome to the show.
Nice to talk to you again, Dave. And I guess this is what, at the time, Speaker Nancy Pelosi was talking about, that they had to pass it to find out what's in it. And unfortunately, what we're finding out isn't very good.
Well, for people who love to centralize power in the federal government, it's like Christmas every day, isn't it?
Well, it really is. And, you know, this is just an example, Dave, of why, how they were not prepared for such a massive law that we cannot get questions answered at a time when, if we didn't delay, if there wasn't the employer mandate delay or any of the delays, this would be the law of the land, and they still cannot tell us, answer questions that will affect public safety all across the country.
Congressman, it seems to me that we might be like two little schoolgirls talking about a private secret. Why don't you let our listeners know exactly what this shared responsibility provision is and why it's so important?
Sure. This provision that I'm bringing up and asking for clarification will affect all volunteer, or could affect all volunteer fire departments or many volunteer fire departments across the country, especially in Pennsylvania, where 97% of fire departments in Pennsylvania are volunteers, fully or mostly volunteers. And that is the fourth largest in the country. And right now, currently, the IRS treats all firefighters, volunteers or paid, as employees for tax purposes. So even though they are a volunteer fire department, the IRS treats them as an employee for federal tax purposes. Because of the employer mandate, any employer that employs over 50 employees that work over 30 hours a week will have to provide health care. So basically, the questions are, one, is the IRS going to continue to treat volunteers as employees? Two, what constitutes 30 hours of work? Is it when they're carrying a beeper, when they're listening to a scanner, when they're at a firehouse? And thirdly, Dave, are they going to add all of the employees of that, whether it's a township or a city or a municipality, the people who work on the streets, the people who work in the office, to get to the number of 50?
Right, so because there might only be
fire departments that may have 20 may still have to provide health insurance.
Yeah, because they're going to count everybody. You know, this is really. How did you come across this?
Well, you know, this was actually came up in as far back as September when. But I came up across it personally that I realized that it hasn't been answered. I was in a parade down in Cumberland County. And a volunteer firefighter had approached me and said, "Congressman, can you look into this? This is going to be a problem for volunteers." And I realized they had not resolved the issue. The International Council of Fire Chiefs had asked the IRS for clarification. They did not get an answer. I wrote a letter to the IRS and thinking that this should be simple enough to clarify. And I still have not gotten an answer. They're looking into it, which is, to me, is ridiculous. Forcing volunteer fire companies to comply with Obamacare will not extend health insurance to the uninsured. What it will do is it's going to close firehouses and it's going to place communities at risk. This is a serious issue that needs to be resolved.
You know, it is. I don't even know what to say. It's just so stunningly ridiculous that what I want to say to you is, come on, Congressman, this is obviously going to get resolved in favor of the firefighters. But look, I mean, the bottom line is the way this thing has been playing out, unless they're staff of Harry Reid, they may get snared in this thing.
Yeah, and you know, the fact is that because volunteers may receive some type of compensation, even nominal compensation, whether it be workman's comp coverage, God forbid if they get hurt, he or she gets hurt or loses their life in a fire, that's why the IRS will treat them as an employee, because they are receiving even a nominal benefit. And so how is the IRS, which remember, they were hiring 16,000 more IRS agents to enforce this law.
Yeah.
So this is the department that's going to be looking at this. You know, are they going to treat volunteers any differently?
Yeah, down with firefighters, up with IRS agents.
And we all know that these volunteer fire departments, I mean,
they're salt of the earth
women,
people.
Right, they have to rely on fundraising just to survive.
Right.
This will close firehouses, undoubtedly.
Right? I mean, this is just crazy. Congressman, 2 days ago, the president gave what was a kickoff speech, very short, but a kickoff speech in his all the way, the 14 days till Christmas or whatever it is, push for Obamacare. And one of the things that he said mockingly was that Republicans have no ideas. They have no plans. Is he right?
No, he's not. He's not right. I guess he was also saying that we were wrong in saying that Obamacare is not ready for prime time when we wanted to delay it. Now they're begging everyone to let's hold up here because it's not ready for prime time. Obviously Obamacare has been a disaster. It's been a train wreck. We've been talking a lot about things that we can do. We can pull out the good parts of Obamacare. At the same time, Dave, we have not tried allowing competition to drive down the price. We want to make healthcare more affordable. We have not allowed small businesses to pull together. We can talk about states setting up, high-risk pools for individuals. We can look at catastrophic coverage. Giving tax credits. There's lots of ideas that we can move forward to, but we don't need a massive bill. The American people are sick and tired of these bills that nobody knows what's in it, including members of Congress. Yeah,
and of course, this firefighter provision that you've just pointed out is a great example of that, Congressman. Let's switch over to immigration. Talk about that for a minute. There is a rumor that the fix is in. That, in fact, Speaker Boehner has hired somebody who was pro-immigration to head this up, and that they're going to wait until after the primary. Guys like you who've been strong on immigration all along, no problem, but others who would love to go wobbly on immigration and give the administration essentially sign the death certificate of the Republican Party, will wait until after the primary. Then there'll be a big push, and they'll get this passed when it's too late for Republicans to do anything about it. Have you heard about that?
Well, I have, and I could tell you, Dave, I'm planning on taking a front row seat when that show takes the stage, because I don't believe that especially on the Republican side in the House, that there will be enough who are willing to move forward with some type of immigration bill. Now, the fear is, and I'm going to make sure people realize this, the fear is that sitting over in the Senate is the Gang of Eight's immigration bill that provides amnesty to millions and border security later, if never. Any type of immigration bill that we pass in the House will go over to the Senate and could trigger a conference where the Senate bill and the House bill will be go to conference, and conferees will be picked. I obviously probably won't be one of those conferees.
Yeah, probably not. You're not on that short list, Congressman.
No, I'm not on that short list. But I could tell you, I'm fearful of what will come out will be an amnesty bill that could pass the House with Democrat votes. So, I believe we shouldn't do anything right now on immigration as long as that Senate bill is sitting over there and there's the threat of a conference.
Well, we're going to keep our eyes on that and everything else. I know you had proposed some visa changes to try to verify people, and I want you to repeat that because I think it's so important for people to recognize that it's not just a problem of people sneaking across the border in the middle of the night. We're welcoming these folks in to the country, and then we're not finding out where they are and when they leave.
That's right. And, the immigration problem, more than anything, Dave, is a national security problem. And the preferred method of entry into America for terrorists is through the legal visa system. And nearly half of the people that are in the country illegally, as a matter of fact, they don't cross a border, especially the southern border, as we like to portray illegal immigration. But in fact, they come on a visa, the visa expires, and they simply don't go home, and we have no way of tracking them. It's a very easy way to get into the country illegally. Student visas are one method that people use. I have introduced a bill right now if you stay after your visa expires, there's really no penalty. There's no disincentive not to go home. My bill would make it a criminal offense if you don't leave when your visa expires. It's a $10,000 fine, 1 year imprisonment. It would also use biometric entry and exit, so that anytime you leave, we would take whether it be a fingerprint or some other method of biometric data to know that you have not left the country and you are now in violation of our immigration laws. I think it's very important that when we talk about border security, we're not only talking about our physical borders north and south. It's also our seaports and airports that allow people to come into the country, especially terrorists.
Yeah, it's almost like the administration doesn't want to stop illegal immigration. I don't know. That's what it seems like.
Well, there's no question about it. They don't. The president keeps using executive orders, this prosecutorial discretion, to take away the immigration laws we have to protect American jobs and American security. So, we could pass 1 million laws in Congress, but it doesn't mean anything if we're not enforcing the laws we have.
Congressman,
it another law.
Yeah, it occurred. Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, enforcement is really what most Americans are saying. Hey, wait a minute, we got plenty of laws here. Look at the books. Let's use these. Congressman, it occurs to me that with all of the arm twisting and wrangling that goes on down in D.C., one of the strategies that might be employed from the leadership's position to get you on board would be to say, hey, we like your visa bill. We're going to include that in the bigger package and send it over to the Senate. Would you be amenable to that?
Well, again, as I said, I'm very wary of anything that will send the Senate bill to conference, and there would have to be assurances, Dave, that whatever we pass in the House will not go to conference. That this will be the bill that we pass in the House, and we will not go to conference. So
straight up and down in the Senate.
I'm going to be very, very careful. Yeah. On not to make a procedural mistake.
Being in D.C., that's probably a good idea. Just be careful.
Right, absolutely.
It's a fair amount of landmines
right now. Yeah. On some of this might be because again we look at the unintended consequences and what we might be stuck with.
Fair amount of landmines down there. Well, Congressman, thank you very much for your time and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Dave. Nice talking to you,
folks. It's Congressman Lou Barletta. Don't go away. We'll be right back.